A long history of crime and violence.
Based on the evidence that was presented, there were 4 individuals, so that charge could not go forward.
Tonight, as we learn more about the man accused of killing University of Utah football player Aaron Lowe, new questions about why this man has never spent time in prison.
Plus, a new report on crime in Utah shows some concerning new numbers.
This is a problem across the entire United States.
New at 9, what's behind those crime statistics and whether it really is getting worse.
That summer like the warmth isn't lasting long. Let's get ready for a wet work week. Coming up, I'm tracking 2 storms that are bringing on and off showers to the Beehive State.
This is a global outage. This is across the earth.
After hours of waiting, Facebook and Instagram are back online tonight. Coming up, what industry experts say is likely to blame.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Tonight, we're learning the man accused of killing University of Utah student athlete Aaron Lowe has a long and, in some cases, violent criminal history.
However, several charges and guilty pleas land him book and book behind bars for only a year. Fox 13's John Franke joins us live with a deeper look into Book's past and how he managed to avoid state prison. John.
Well, hey guys, I researched Book and Book's court records and came away with all of these documents. There are some very violent details in here, but in every case, he was allowed to plead to a lesser charge. Today, I asked why.
We have a process. Look, we take violent crime very seriously.
The office of Salt Lake County DA Sim Gill has prosecuted several cases involving Book and Book. In 2019, he was charged with aggravated robbery for stealing $290. The indictment says he and another suspect pulled a gun and a knife and told the victim, "Give me all your money." The aggravated robbery charge was eventually dismissed.
And one of the aggravated robbery was dropped to a robbery. Why would that?
My understanding is that there were some issues that might have had some evidentiary issues with that, and so at that time the prosecutor did a global resolution, as we would say, taking all of those cases as 2 second-degree robberies.
In May of 2019, Book was charged with another robbery, this time for taking $300 from a victim who thought he was meeting Book to buy an iPhone. Later that year, he pleaded guilty to giving false information to a police officer. After pleading guilty, he was sentenced to a year in the county jail.
Each judge is different. The process is there, what we follow. Like I said, the prosecuting attorney convicted him of 2 robberies.
After being released, Book was arrested in November 2020 for having a gun illegally. The indictment says he was in a stolen car with a stolen handgun and he had ammo in his pocket. That charge, too, was dropped.
There were 4 individuals, but they could not decide whose gun it was. And so we couldn't meet our burden of proof. So the prosecution did what it needed to do, which was that we convicted him of something lesser.
In that case, Book pleaded guilty to failing to stop at an officer's command. He was sentenced to 115 days in jail and released in March. Now the question is, with his past, should Book have been on the streets?
I think that's a difficult, maybe a little complex question, especially here in Utah.
I spoke with Chris Bertram, a retired deputy chief of Unified Police and an expert in criminal justice.
We're trying to find a balance of justice in this state.
He points to criminal justice reform that leans toward rehabilitation over incarceration for allowing someone like Book to be free after committing several crimes.
We do have people that commit crimes, and it's even serious crimes, and we are trying to avoid, as a state, trying to lock some of those people up until it becomes necessary.
He adds charging documents don't always tell the whole story, and there are valid reasons why prosecutors seek plea agreements. Now the focus is on the here and now, as prosecutors build their murder case to get justice for Aaron Lowe.
We follow the evidence, and we both prosecute and file charges based on the evidence that we have.
And the DA here is still screening the charges for Book's alleged involvement in Lowe's murder. Those charges have not yet been filed. By state law, the DA has 72 hours after an arrest to file those charges or request an extension. Reporting live tonight in Salt Lake City, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
John, thank you. 8 days after the tragic passing of Aaron Lowe, head coach Kyle Whittingham and the Utes have to try to get back to football this week as they prepare to face USC. Fox 13 sports reporter Andrea Urban simply asked Coach Witt how he's doing through all this.
It's challenging. It's, you just a million things go through your head, and you just, keep going over and over the, essentially the same thoughts, and it really brought back Ty's passing. I mean, it kind of all is wrapped into one now, and so it's been the most challenging year of my coaching career, hands down, without any question at all.
Coach Witt, of course, was referring to Ty Jordan, Lowe's friend and teammate, who was shot and killed last December. As long as he's the coach, he says no one will wear number 22 in the program, the number both Lowe and Jordan wore, and he'd like to see the number retired. In other news tonight, if you are an avid user of Facebook or Instagram, you definitely felt the agony of the hours-long outage of those two major social media networks today.
What did you do with all your time there, Bob?
I didn't really miss it
A lot of people very surprised that the two biggest social media apps were down, but they are back online tonight, but not without stirring up discussion about why their apps and websites were down in the first place. Fox's Matt Finn picks up the story.
Facebook, along with its popular photo sharing platform Instagram and messaging app WhatsApp, are back online after a roughly 7-hour outage on Monday. The company not yet disclosing what caused the sites to go down just before noon Eastern Time, or how many of Facebook's nearly 3 billion users were impacted. The platforms took to Twitter to inform users about the disruption and assure them that they were working on restoring access.
This is a global outage. This is across the earth.
Facebook's internal employee systems also went down, preventing some from entering the building as their digital badges could not scan, including those arriving to try to resolve the issue. Experts speculate it was likely caused by a server issue and not some type of malicious attack.
It seems like the DNS server of Facebook has basically disappeared from the internet, so it can no longer be routed through, and therefore nobody can reach it.
The widespread outages come one day after former Facebook product manager turned whistleblower Frances Haugen came forward on 60 Minutes, saying the social media platform and its affiliated app Instagram are harmful to teens and knowingly put profits ahead of safety.
Facebook has realized that if they change the algorithm to be safer, people will spend less time on the site, they'll click on less ads, they'll make less money.
Haugen is expected to testify on Tuesday before a Senate subcommittee hearing about protecting kids online. In Los Angeles, Matt Finn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Today, Fox 13 spoke with the founder of Utah's own independent internet provider about what an outage like this would look like behind the scenes. Pete Ashdown is the current president of X-Mission Internet in Salt Lake City. And while his company has faced smaller crashes, he knows every internet-based company has plans and backup plans for a crisis like this.
A virtual war room. We have a company chat server that we all communicate on, and people may be home, people may be here in the office. In one case, I was overseas and I was helping out with a problem, but in that virtual chat room, we're all together and we're all keeping each other informed and what we discover and how we fix it.
Ashdown also says people working on a digital problem are like virtual detectives, seeking clues to what is different from the norm that could create the issues. He went on to say most companies have these people like this on staff and rarely look for third-party help.
Well, I'll tell you, this outage should have given us all an opportunity to go out and enjoy the
Yes.
outdoors today. Because
Kind of forced us to, maybe.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Right? Mother Nature's way of saying, get outside, enjoy it while you can, because big changes are on the way, team. We're going to be seeing a round of rain showers moving in tomorrow. It's not going to be as warm and sunny and comfortable as it was earlier today. And you can see from our Ochre cam just a beautiful view overlooking the Salt Lake Valley. All those twinkling lights out there as those temperatures are starting to fall. Upper 60s in Salt Lake City, mid 60s in Ogden. You're in the low 60s right now in Provo, and temperatures in southern Utah slowly dropping to the mid 70s right now. But what you're going to notice, some of those big changes are starting to roll on in right now. We have clouds that are making their way into southern Utah. This is ahead of that storm that's moving through early tomorrow morning. But for folks in Salt Lake City and really all along the Wasatch Front, you're going to wake up tomorrow morning. It's going to be mild, a few clouds out there. It's going to feel like a beautiful start to the day. You'll be in the low 60s by about 9 o'clock. But that second half of the day, things are going to start to change pretty quickly. We're going to start to see those showers first in southern Utah, and then a chance for thunderstorms for most of us across the Beehive State. All this area that's shaded in that light green is showing the chance for thunderstorms tomorrow as we jump into our afternoon. We're going to break down the timeline of those storms and who's going to see the heaviest rain. All of that coming up in just a couple minutes.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
He said that his girlfriend loved him and he had to go out to California to see her.
A newly released 911 call details a possible Brian Laundrie sighting where he may have been seen weeks after the death of Gabby Petito.
It's not something you hear every day. A missing hiker found alive in Zion National Park. How rescue crews brought him home safely.
Hundreds turn out to Capitol Hill to speak up against the Biden vaccine requirements.
I might not have a job at the end of this month.
I'm COVID immune. I have natural immunity.
What Utah lawmakers have to say as hundreds of people speak out against the Biden administration.
The Utah football team has a tough challenge this week, getting ready to play USC while grieving the loss of Aaron Lowe. We'll hear from the team.
Police along the Wasatch Front now investigating 2 homicides that took place just this morning. In West Jordan, a 17-year-old male was shot and killed at 35th West near 82nd South. He was taken to the hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Police say the suspects are juvenile males who remain at large tonight.
West Valley City Police are looking for whoever shot and killed a man this morning. It happened at about 7 near 38th South and 4200 West near Farnsworth Elementary. Officers saw witnesses were performing CPR on the victim on the sidewalk when they arrived. Police say there is no threat to the public. They're still looking at a possible connection between the victim and the house where he was found. With the recent homicides, is murder on the rise in Utah? The answer is yes, and by a significant amount.
Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher live at the Department of Public Safety tonight with brand new numbers just released only to Fox 13 News, showing the troubling trends. It is a story you will only see here. Lauren.
Yeah, Kelly and Bob. So the Department of Public Safety is planning on releasing its annual Crime in Utah report. We got an early look at what it shows for homicides, and it turns out we are hitting the highest numbers that we have seen as far back as we can look online for at least 2 decades. Here's how it breaks down.
Utah's population is growing, and with that can come issues including a rise in crime like homicides. But the Department of Public Safety says what we saw in 2020 isn't from a spike in population.
In previous years where we've maybe seen, 60 or 70 homicides, in 2020 we saw 93 homicides. And these are violent crimes. These are not accidental homicides that may have been caused by, a car accident or something. These were violent crimes. And so it's sobering to us to see that we had a significant increase in 2020.
A real, true increase that will be part of the annual Crime in Utah report DPS will release Tuesday. Even more staggering, this graph shows an age group breakdown for victims and offenders, with 15 to 19-year-olds serving as the largest single age group responsible for killing others. A majority of murders in Utah, 67%, involved guns. Fridays and Saturdays saw the most activity compared to other days, with a large percentage in the evening and nighttime hours. Most offenders were listed as acquaintances or friends. Some of these trends, Joe Doherty points out, aren't unique to Utah.
This isn't just a Utah problem. This is a problem across the entire United States. If you look at the FBI data, you'll see that there was an increase nationwide in the number of homicides in 2020.
So what can we do about this? That's what comes next.
And these are real questions that are being asked among the entire justice community. What are the best things that we can implement as a state? What are the best laws? What are the best preventive measures that we can do?
That's why they track this data, he says, to help inform and potentially make change in our community.
One thing that these numbers will help, Doherty says they are planning on a Justice Reinvestment Initiative tour where top justice officials in the state meet with different communities to talk and learn about how to make the justice system better. Live in Taylorsville, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
He was acting funny, and I'm 99.99% sure that was him.
That is audio from a newly released 911 call from hiker Dennis Davis. He believes a man he spoke to near the Appalachian Trail last Saturday morning was Brian Laundrie, the boyfriend of Gabby Petito, who was wanted in connection with her death. Davis says the man flagged him down near the Tennessee-North Carolina state line, claiming to be lost.
He was talking wild. He said that his girlfriend loved him and he had to go out to California to see her. And he was asking me how to get to California.
I think law enforcement will be taking extraordinary measures to either confirm or to rule out that whether or not the person that he saw was in fact Brian Laundrie. If he's out there, he will be found.
Investigators say they have seen an increase in possible Laundrie sightings near the Appalachian Trail in recent days. Today, a plane circled above the Laundrie family home in Northport, Florida, with an aerial advertisement that read, "Justice for Gabby, TikTok time's up." In Utah County, crews helped rescue a man who spent the night near Jacob's Ladder above Alpine and Draper.
The sheriff's deputies say the 51-year-old Salt Lake man summited Lone Peak yesterday, but lost his way in heavy brush. They say he was prepared, and other than some scratches, he is doing okay tonight. That's some good news. Happy ending there.
Yes, we like happy endings.
We do.
Always.
Really do. We had a beautiful day today.
Today's been a happy ending, but tomorrow
is going to be a different story.
You know, every year I say, gosh, I wish the autumn weather, you know, the cool, crisp mornings and nights and comfortable daytime temperatures would last longer, but I feel like it changes like that.
You know what? But we need the rain, right?
Yes, absolutely, we need the rain.
We're grateful for it, and we're going to be getting a dose of rain showers and even some heavy downpours, strong gusty winds, and hail, even a possibility as we go into the next couple days. So I hope you have the chance to enjoy this beautiful fall weather because things are changing early this week, and it's going to stay like that for the rest of our week. But a beautiful sunset tonight. Oh my goodness, the colors out there. Thank you, Patrick Price, for sending this in of Willard Bay. Love seeing those shots. And as you can see, temperatures are pretty comfortable right now in the upper 60s in Salt Lake City. That's going to be the name of the game as you get out the door tomorrow morning. Mid to upper 60s along the Wasatch Front right now, 53 in Park City, 56 in Evanston, and 74 in St. George. But let's jump to the changes. We've got clouds in southern Utah, clear skies in northern Utah, and the clouds are all ahead of that next storm. And so we have two storms that we're watching right now, two juicy storms, really. One of those is off the coast of Southern California, another that's going to be making its way into the Pacific Northwest. The first one that is going to impact us is that storm that's off the coast of Southern California. It's going to be making its way into Utah early tomorrow morning by sunrise. We're going to start to see rain showers in southern Utah. They'll start light, but it's going to get heavy throughout the day, and that's why flash flooding is going to be probable at many of our national parks as we go into tomorrow afternoon. So if you do have plans outdoors, be prepared for that. And you can see those showers slowly starting up at around sunrise, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Our overnight lows are actually going to be fairly comfortable in areas along the Wasatch Front, mid to upper 50s. So you're going to wake up partly cloudy skies, really not too bad. And you can see that this is actually our Tuesday planner. You can see you're waking up in the mid 50s in Salt Lake City, but by 2 o'clock, and by the time we get to the afternoon, temperatures are going to be warm in Salt Lake City, but you're going to notice that rain showers are going to start developing. So it's going to start in the south, and it's going to slowly and steadily make its way through central Utah and into northern Utah by the time we get to the afternoon. So you can see really by 2 o'clock, that rain's going to be heavy through southern, central Utah. You'll be nearing 80 degrees in Salt Lake City as we jump into the afternoon time, with thunderstorms in St. George at that point. And as we go into the next 7 days, southern Utah, let's take a look at those changes. There's a lot to dive into right now. So you're going to get a little bit of a break Wednesday and Thursday. The heaviest rain is coming down in southern Utah tomorrow. And then that next storm is impacting us Friday. You see that big drop, low 70s in southern Utah. It's going to feel comfortable. Now along the Wasatch Front, tomorrow we'll have those showers in the afternoon, but they're really going to ramp up Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Get ready for a wet Wednesday morning commute. And you can see rain showers will be on and off, but Friday more widespread with a big drop in temperatures down to the low 60s on Saturday.
Thanks, Danny. Still ahead, first Facebook, now Google buying land in Eagle Mountain, what they're considering using it for. Welcome back, everyone. In national news tonight, President Joe Biden had some stern words today for Republicans for opposing efforts to raise the debt ceiling. The deadline to do so is just 2 weeks away now. If Congress misses the deadline, America will be unable to pay its debts for the first time in history. Monday, President Biden called the GOP opposition, quote, hypocritical, dangerous, and disgraceful.
Democrats are willing to do all the work stopping it. Republicans just have to let us do our job. Just get out of the way. If you don't want to help save the country, get out of the way so you don't destroy it.
The general consensus is that failing to raise the debt ceiling would result in economic catastrophe.
Crews are working around the clock to clean up an oil spill that has shut down beaches in Southern California. The spill was caused by a leak in an underwater pipeline. Crews believe more than 125,000 gallons of oil escaped before it was noticed.
The oil is clumping at the shoreline, and you may not realize it, but you step in it and then you bring it across the sand and carry the oil into other areas.
The mess shut down 6 miles of Huntington Beach. The mayor says those beaches could be closed for weeks or even months.
Coming up after the break.
We will walk away from a job my husband has worked so hard in order to stand up for our liberty.
Massive public turnout here on Capitol Hill against the Biden vaccine requirements.
As COVID booster shots become available in Utah, some may not realize that means you. How to know if and when you're eligible.
He had a big impact here in Utah during his presidential run in 2016. Now Evan McMullin has his sights set on Utah Senator Mike Lee.
He was missing for days, his friends afraid they might never see him again. Until this weekend, hear from one of the first responders that helped save a hiker's life in Zion National Park. Coming up.
The Jazz play their first preseason game tonight, plus who will be the Cougars' starting quarterback this week?
I have been put on notification from both of my jobs that if I don't comply with this vaccine mandate, then I will lose my job.
Utah lawmakers are processing hundreds of comments they've received about government vaccine mandates. It's believed to be the largest public hearing the legislature has ever held.
As Fox 13's Ben Winslow reports, the public sentiment was overwhelmingly against the proposed rule by the Biden administration.
Security was increased here on Capitol Hill for the Utah State Legislature's Business and Labor Interim Committee hearing on the Biden administration's proposed rule to mandate vaccines or regular COVID testing on businesses with more than 100 employees.
Don't test our resolve, okay?
Nearly 700 people showed up overwhelmingly opposed to the idea. Some fear job losses if they refuse.
I might not have a job at the end of this month.
We've made our decision as a family. We will walk away from a job my husband has worked so hard in order to stand up for our liberty.
Others say it's about freedom.
I'm COVID immune. I have natural immunity.
The Constitution wasn't written to restrain citizens' behavior. It was written to restrain yours.
Thank you.
A few spoke in favor of the rule.
We believe that listening to the science is the way to go. I wish that we would consider the freedom of the rest of us.
By and large, most everyone likes the idea of people getting vaccinated. And I think everyone is supportive in trying to help get more people vaccinated as well. The question is, what is a mandate? What does it look like? And how is it going to impact their labor supply?
The governor's office says employers are mixed on the issue and some business owners fear losing employees.
We could lose upwards of 30% of our critical workforce.
Everything we do each day is serious, way more life-threatening than this COVID is.
But Utah anticipates it will most certainly run afoul of the federal government if it bucks the proposed rule.
I think you can only tell the federal government no so many times before they do have an issue with it.
Now, we still haven't seen the proposed rule, so it's unclear what the legislature will actually do. But if the Biden administration imposes the requirements, the Utah Attorney General's office says it will sue.
We're confident in our legal arguments that the rule would not comply with as described.
The governor and legislative leadership opposed the idea of government mandating the vaccine, but do support businesses who mandate it on their own.
There's no plan right now. There's no bill file opened or anything happening at this point. We really need to see what comes out of the federal government before we can make those kind of decisions.
On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And despite that public hearing, tens of thousands of Utahns have rolled up their sleeves for the third shot of the COVID-19 vaccine.
But many more may not even realize they're eligible. Fox 13's Haley Higgins has the story from Davis County.
How you doing today?
In the first week, 1,500 people received their third vaccination shot at the drive-in clinic in Farmington.
The second shot was 217, so you're good.
The Lubecks made it a family affair Monday.
We're protected good, and we can see our grandkids and go to places more often, restaurants and places with people.
We have a little granddaughter that has a heart problem, so we want to be able to not pass anything on to her.
The Davis County Clinic reopened last week after the FDA and CDC approved the Pfizer vaccine for a third jab.
Demand's definitely there. I mean, if you go on our scheduling system and look at it right now, we're pretty much booked out till the end of October.
People 65 and over and those at high risk for complications are eligible 6 months after their second dose, as well as people who might get COVID at work. But who are those people exactly? The CDC specified these 9 groups of frontline workers, from first responders to educators to grocery store employees.
It's all on the honor system.
Within the last week in Utah, nearly 32,000 people received their third dose, according to the Utah Department of Health. The vast majority, 78%, are aged 65 and older. Studies show the effectiveness of the Pfizer vaccine wanes over time. Here at the Legacy Center, they expect to ramp up to 1,500 booster shots a day.
All right, see ya. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, right now the CDC has only approved Pfizer for a third dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. However, later this week, Johnson & Johnson is expected to ask the FDA for emergency authorization. Reporting in Farmington, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Today, a big new development in the case of Sherry Black, who was stabbed to death at her bookstore in South Salt Lake 11 years ago. Her suspected killer, this man, Adam Durborough, has now pleaded guilty to aggravated murder. Durborough was arrested about a year ago, 10 years after killing Black. Durborough will be sentenced in December.
We now know the name of a football player and freshman at Snow College in Ephraim who died in a car accident last night. Snow College confirms Mafatini was in a single car crash in Ephraim. Head coach Zach Erickson says his team is extremely saddened by the news. He went on to say, "Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family back in Maui." Mafatini was such a bright light in this world. His smile and infectious laugh will be missed not only by our team, but by all those who knew him.
Today, Utah State University students marched for climate change action. The USU Center for Water Efficient Landscaping organized the rally, which started at the University Quad. The group then marched to the historic Cache County Courthouse Plaza, where speakers addressed the crowd on climate change.
Even though we're not going to be affecting change perhaps on a global level, even the local change can propagate out. And, anything that we do for our community is going to improve it.
The USU Center for Water Efficient Landscaping is a research and outreach center designed to improve the efficient use of water for landscape irrigation.
Google has acquired land in the city of Eagle Mountain. There is a lot of open space out there, and the site is being considered for a potential data center for the tech giant. If the development moves forward, it could create jobs and attract investment from other famous brands.
Eagle Mountain City has tremendous amounts of land to be able to develop on, and we're one of the few areas left on the Wasatch Front with those opportunities. And bringing partners like this to this area draws more attention to Eagle Mountain City. It boosts the economy.
This isn't the first tech company in Eagle Mountain. Facebook went live in July with its massive new data center there.
Coming up, independent politician Evan McMullin is challenging Utah Senator Mike Lee in next year's Senate race. We'll talk to experts about his chances after a pretty impressive showing as a third-party presidential candidate.
Good evening, everyone. Rain, gusty winds, and cooler temperatures are on the way as Mother Nature delivers 2 storms this week. We'll have a look at how much rain you could see near you after the break.
Glad you're with us tonight, everyone. Former third-party presidential candidate Evan McMullin is going to run for office once again, this time here in Utah.
The BYU graduate and former CIA officer is challenging Utah Senator Mike Lee, who's up for re-election next year. Fox 13's Eliana Sheriff looks at his chances.
This is a recurring question in the state of Utah, is whether or not an independent candidate can mount a successful campaign.
Rewind the clock to 2016 when Evan McMullin leapt onto the national stages as a third-party candidate for president. Nationally, he only received 0.5% of the vote, but in his home state of Utah, he made a much bigger dent.
Historically, independent candidates in Utah typically receive less than 5% of the vote, but back in 2016, during the presidential election, McMullin secured just over 21% of the vote, which is significant.
Jason Perry, director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics, says in the 2016 election, many people were just looking for someone else to vote for, other than Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Back then, McMullin was largely unknown. 5 years later, with more name recognition, could he have a better chance?
It has been very difficult for a third party to catch any kind of fire in the state of Utah. He has followers from around the country. What he needs is followers in the state of Utah, and those followers have to translate into voters that will show up.
Senator Mike Lee, who first took office in 2011, has strong support among the GOP base. In February of this year, one poll showed Lee with 67% approval within his party. Since 2016, Perry says McMullin has continued to engage with the public through Stand Up Republic. This is a nonprofit he leads, and he has nearly 500,000 followers on Twitter. Perry says McMullin will have to mobilize unaffiliated voters in Utah in order to represent Utah in the Senate.
They're going to have to carve out some pretty strong space of people who are going to show up for that candidate and not be in the situation where they're just robbing votes for each other.
Eliana Sheriff, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Fox 13 did reach out to Senator Lee, who was unable for comment today. We also spoke with Evan McMullin, who plans to make a formal announcement later this week. Still ahead, how a single phone call helped search and rescue crews track down a man stranded in Zion National Park for several days.
Coming up in sports, we'll hear from Utah football players as they grieve the loss of Aaron Lowe while preparing to play USC this Saturday. And we'll hear from Kalani Sitake, try to figure out who will be the Cougars' starting quarterback this Saturday against Boise State.
He took a shot.
So glad you could be with us tonight to start the new week. It is Monday. It's gorgeous outside right now. Danny Roberti is here with us tonight, and hard to believe these beautiful temperatures. She's fantastic, but she's going to give you some news that maybe you're not going to be so excited about.
You'll still like Danny, but you may not like what she's going to tell you.
Yeah, so. All I have to say is galoshes. Hope yours are ready.
Galoshes. Okay.
We'll talk with Danny in just a few minutes.
Historically, stories about overdue hikers don't often have a happy ending, but this one does.
A hiker in Zion National Park who became overdue last week was found alive over the weekend. Fox 13's Brian Cheney takes a look at the rescue and what gave crews hope.
79-year-old John Berg was part of a hiking group out of Colorado that had been staying in Kanab and hiking on the east side of Zion National Park. Park staff told us that Berg had gone out for a solo hike Tuesday morning. He had a map with him, but he deviated from that route and left the trail.
Berg ended up in a tough spot above the last rappel area in Lodge Canyon. Luckily for him, he had just enough cell phone reception to call his son and to call 911 on Friday night. Although folks at Zion National Park say his call dropped, so it didn't help them find an exact location, but they knew he was high enough to make a call versus a slot canyon somewhere low where reception is rough. Nonetheless, that phone call made all the difference for search and rescue crews.
It gave us a great deal of hope. It infused the entire operation with hope that he was still alive and in desperate need of help, and that gave us the renewed energy to really redouble our efforts the following day. And as I like to say, we pulled out all the stops.
One way they pulled out the stops, calling in the Air Force. Nearby Nellis Air Force Base helped search from the sky. That's how they spotted and ultimately hoisted John Berg to safety.
We had a lot of young guys for their first save, so I mean a lot to him. It gets a lot of buy-in back in the community where you train so hard
You don't really ever want to have to do your job because it means someone else is having a really bad day. But it just makes you feel really good when you know you can execute to that level and bring someone home.
Rescuers are glad that Berg is safe. He did require serious medical attention and was taken to St. George for further treatment. Those with the park say this serves as a reminder about hiking solo and not telling others when you're headed off trail. Park staff say this sort of activity has contributed to an increase in calls for help.
As a matter of fact, it's been the busiest year on record for search and rescue calls at Zion National Park. More than 160 search and rescue missions for the year. Unfortunately, 5 fatalities to go along with that. Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
When the pandemic forced Salt Lake City to make their typical Pride Parade a drive-by event, it was such a fun and popular event, they decided, well, let's do it again. This week for National Coming Out Day, the Utah Pride Center will be hosting a drive-by parade. There will be multiple rendezvous points where people can decorate their cars and get some Pride paraphernalia. And then the vehicles will gather for a parade right down Main Street.
It's kind of the reverse of a traditional Pride Parade. We wanted people to be able to stay in their cars, but also come out and celebrate with National Coming Out Day and whatnot. But also the street will be lined with pits with local businesses and organizations that partner with the Pride Center, being able to celebrate Pride with us and help people come out and feel affirmed here in the city of Utah.
Now, the parade is happening this Sunday morning. We do have a link to where you can register on our website, fox13now.com.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yes, Bob.
Yes.
Yes.
We all know that fall is coming, right? But we lament when we lose days like today.
And
right?
dag nabbit, I'm just the messenger.
Dag nabbit.
A good one.
When was the last time you heard somebody say dag
that's part of my
nabbit on
vocabulary.
That
TV?
is Utah approved.
Yeah, that's
See?
true.
I am a Utahn, okay?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but yeah, fall doesn't last long, right?
No.
I mean, we're going to be jumping into a couple days where temperatures are going to feel more like the end of October versus the beginning of October. So I hope you had the chance to enjoy it. Everything's going to start changing early tomorrow morning, but we need this rain, so it's all going to be good news by the end of the week. Logan Canyon, a beautiful view. Thank you, Carol, for sending this picture in. We've had some beautiful colors this year. And you can see in Salt Lake City, things are calm right now. We're in the upper 60s. Clouds are starting to push in, and things are going to feel calm even as you wake up tomorrow morning. Mid to upper 60s along the Wasatch Front. Low 50s in Park City right now, 56 in Evanston. You're at 74 in St. George. And as you wake up tomorrow morning in Salt Lake City, it's not going to feel like there's a storm brewing. It's going to be mild, so you're going to notice some changes. Partly cloudy skies, so you're going to see peaks of sunshine. It'll be a really pretty start to the day, but things will change in the afternoon. And already in southern Utah, you're seeing clouds taking over right now. Mostly cloudy skies. They're starting to push through central and southern Utah right now. This is all ahead of that storm. And so we have our eyes on 2 storms right now. One of those off the coast of Southern California. Another is going to be moving into the Pacific Northwest. But the one that's on our mind right now is that storm that's off the coast of California. And so early tomorrow morning, by around sunrise, rain's going to start in southern Utah. And then we could see at that point, it'll start light to moderate, but then that's going to start pushing northward throughout the morning time into the afternoon. Now, we could see heavy rain at times in southern Utah, so flash flooding is going to be possible. And then in northern Utah, scattered showers in the afternoon, late in the afternoon, and in the early evening. So be prepared. If you do have any kind of practices for the kiddos tomorrow afternoon, you're probably going to be running into some of those rain showers. And so let's take a look at the timeline of that. Starting off in southwestern Utah by about sunrise, and then that pushes into central Utah, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 to about 7 o'clock. You see that rain kind of surging into northern Utah along the Wasatch Front. And it's not going to be incredibly widespread, just some periods of heavy downpours. And so how much rain are we talking by the end of tomorrow night? Now, we're going to see more rain by the end of the week, but in Salt Lake City, anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to about 1/4 of an inch of rain. But then in St. George, you could be seeing 1/4 of an inch to about 1/2 of an inch of rain. So that's going to be nice down in southern Utah. That's where we're seeing the heaviest rain. So you're waking up tomorrow morning. Temperatures are going to be actually a little bit warmer than this. this. Along the Wasatch Front, you'll be looking at the upper 50s. But tomorrow in the afternoon, Salt Lake City, you're going to notice clouds increasing, scattered showers starting to pick up, and you'll reach 80. So temperatures are still going to be warm tomorrow afternoon along the Wasatch Front. But in southern Utah, you're going to start to feel it's cooler out there. 77 in St. George for your high as those rain showers are on and off throughout the day. Southern Utah, by Wednesday, you'll be in the low 80s, getting a little bit of a break from the rain, but that next storm moves in Friday, and that's going to bring us that next chance of rain. It's moving in from the north, though. You'll be in the low 70s this weekend as you start to dry out. And along the Wasatch Front, you will be dropping down to the low 70s on Wednesday, so cooler air moves in each and every day. Rain will be on and off by Friday. That stronger storm moves through Friday night into Saturday, dropping to the mid-60s, low 60s on Saturday.
The Utah football team spoke to the media today for the first time since the death of Aaron Lowe. A difficult and challenging time for the Utes. They're trying to prepare to play a big game against USC on Saturday while they're still grieving the loss of Aaron. Less than a year after the death of another teammate, Ty Jordan.
Ty's was so difficult because we had just come off the season and we weren't together. You know, nobody was with each other. This one was difficult because we were with each other. The day after it happened when we came together as a team, I don't think I've ever been a part of a more emotional meeting with everybody. We loved Aaron, and I loved Aaron, and you want to give that respect and that reverence to him and what he stood for and what he did. I find strength in my other teammates because it is pretty difficult.
This program has been through a lot emotionally and outside of football. We build our family and our bond off of struggle out here, and I think that's what really makes this program different.
Ty and Alo, they meant the world to me. I love those guys. They will always hold a special spot in my heart, and I'm glad to see that they'll hold a special spot in the university as well.
10th ranked BYU will host Boise State this Saturday as they look to improve to 6-0. The biggest question going into the game is who will be the Cougars' starting quarterback. Jaron Hall missed his second straight game against Utah State with an injury, and Baylor Romney took a hard hit to the head before the half against the Aggies on Saturday, did not return. So freshman Jacob Conover took over the rest of the way. Kalani Sitake said Hall was not able to take enough snaps in practice the last 2 weeks. So the health and practice time of Hall and Romney will determine who plays this Saturday.
As far as right now, they're all still in contention to play this Saturday. So until we practice and get a look at them. So right now, as today, everyone is still available to play. If you can practice, then we'll gauge who's ever the most ready to give us a chance to win, or what situation we're going to be in come game day.
The Jazz played their first preseason game tonight in San Antonio, but the game was not on TV. The Jazz did put a few plays on Twitter, so there's that. The Spurs beat the Jazz 111-85. Donovan Mitchell had 10 points, Jordan Clarkson 11, and Jarrett Butler led the team with 16 points. The Jazz play at Dallas on Wednesday, and that game, cross your fingers, will be televised.
Wow. Why wouldn't they televise
it? If it's not on TV, it must not be important.
It must not have happened.
It did happen. But, it's preseason, I guess.
Yeah, preseason, though.
Well, we
like
still want to
Hey, you're talking to the wrong guy. I wanted to watch it, too.
Okay.
Well, thank you for the highlights and the score. Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Finally, a Bear Cub with special needs is getting a helping hand from some folks at Utah State University as part of the school's partnership with the DWR and the USDA. The bears are taken to the Predator Research Facility in Millville.
That sounds like a scary place.
Yes. And this year, a cub about half the normal size is receiving care there. Caretakers say the cub is doing well and could be released into the wild soon to knock on your cabin door.
Sweet little bear.
To come eat your food out of your fridge.
One day. Thanks for being with us. Quick Cast is next.